It's coming from the side. And it's coming from the back. People, multitudes of people walking up the hill.
So much has happened in the run-up to this year's Bilderberg 2013 meeting. From the apparent change of venues from Chantilly, Virginia to Watford in North London, and also the organization of a fringe festival happening just outside of the grounds where Bilderberg will meet this year at the Grove Hotel in Hertfordshire, but also the death of longtime Bilderberg investigative journalist Jim Tucker. And of course, very little has been spoken about in the mainstream media with regards to Bilderberg this year and as every year, but in the alternative media, very little has been mentioned about what is the agenda for Bilderberg 2013. So 21st Century Wire traveled to London, and we discovered that the agenda for this year's Bilderberg meeting revolves around a global taxation system and a global government to go with it.
The Public Accounts Committee, which is chaired by Margaret Hodge, has been complaining for several months about the corporation tax situation in the UK, where companies that are earning multi-billion pound profits are paying very, very small corporation tax payments, a few million pounds, very small proportion of their income. And in fact, it's so bad that some of the bigger banks, like Barclays, for example, have set up entire business units just to teach these corporations how to do this kind of stuff. So the Public Accounts Committee has been trying to stop this happening, or this is what they're saying they're trying to do. They've had Google in to talk, they've had Amazon in to talk, various other people. They had Google in again last week to talk about this, and they're basically accusing Google of taking advantage of the system and really lying to Parliament, and Google's denying that, of course. But in the meantime, then, in parallel, we're starting to see rhetoric from various commentators about how we need to change the corporation tax regime. The corporation tax regime in this globalized world just isn't working, and we've got to change that and turn it into some kind of global corporation tax regime. Whatever that is going to be remains to be seen, but they've created the problem. The reaction, they're trying to enrage people in the media by, they're pushing these headlines of we cannot have companies that are earning this amount of income paying this small amount of tax. They're enraging people. That's the reaction they're attempting to get, and they're going to provide the solution, which is this new globalized corporation tax regime. And then in parallel, the week before the Bilderberg conference in the Grove Hotel in June, we have Google running their conference, which is going to be very similar in format to Bilderberg. Chatham House rules again. People that we don't really know who's going to be the attendees, but it's going to be focused on the technology side of things. So this is a parallel Bilderberg meeting, really, to discuss the internet and what's the future of the internet and how's the internet going to be used globally in the coming weeks and months and years.
So do you think a global corporate tax structure is you need a global government to administrate that tax?
I think that that the embryonic global institutions are already in place, and that we're going to see them being given more and more real jobs to do as time goes on, and corporation tax is clearly going to be one of those.
What's the significance of the G8 meeting? Are they essentially going to, they could rubber stamp this agreement?
The G8 meeting is being held in Northern Ireland this year, and aside from the security issues that they're worried about for that, they're pretending to be worried about for that, that is absolutely on the agenda for this G8 conference, that they're going to start talking about a globalized profit tax regime, whatever that be. So time will tell what the actual proposals are going to be, but that's where they're going with it, yeah.
So do you think this is going to be a big part of the Bilderberg 2013 agenda?
Yes, I think that's exactly right, and also the Google conference before that, yeah.
Now, the implications of a global taxation structure are frightening, to say the least. But even more frightening is that this has come about through a type of Trojan horse, if you will, through some of the brands that we know and love through our use of the internet, namely Google. But the big issue here is that the internet was created, we thought for greater good, for a world without borders. We had so much hope and promise for the internet. And these major players, these monopolies online, have come through to trigger a global taxation system which will require a global government to administrate it. People need to wake up and pay attention to what's happening. Watch this year's Bilderberg 2013 conference coverage. I'm Patrick Henningsen for the 21st Century Wire.